Hello, everyone. Jeff Yergi, Chief of Pearls at Oyster Aero. I'm here with the fellow podcaster, Patrick Kraus of Jet Midwest. How you doing today, Patrick?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeff. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem at all. We're happy to have you. So, I guess you're fresh out of Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, huh?
Yeah. I had a little bit of business travel and then had a little bit of personal travel and was lucky enough to spend St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, which was a pretty special experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, I haven't done that yet. That's probably on the bucket list. So.
It is worthwhile doing, that's for sure.
Cool. So I kind of want to on the podcast, we kind of like, founders of companies and people that run companies. So we certainly wanted to have you here. And, it's kind of close to me. I actually used to work for TWA at the overhaul base in 99, I believe, for a short term until American bought them. And that's where you all are, right out
Yeah,
there at KCI. So um, why don't you walk us through that a little bit on Jet
sure.
Midwest and kind of when you guys started and your location?
Yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate that my partners are my brother and sister, and grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So being the risk of business was fairly normal to us. And my brother actually started another aviation company in Southern California in the '90s, and he was buying and selling a lot of packages and moving a lot of parts. And one of the problems he had was the real estate prices in California, where his warehouse was really high.
Hmm.
And so he's like, I want to start an offshoot company. And so he called his best friend that he grew up with and said, hey, go get a warehouse. I'm going to get you this stuff. I'm going to send it to you. You put it on this thing called the ILS, and people just call you and buy stuff. And like that was the whole explanation. So that was 1997 that the trucks started to flow. Um, and then in 1999, as the material started to stack up and they needed a little bit of support, my brother called and said, "Hey, can you come and start moonlighting with us and helping out with the inventory and helping out trying to understand what's going on in the business?" And I said, "Sure." So I came in '99 and bought out his partner my sister and I bought out his partner in 2005. And so it's been the three of us since then. It's interesting because you mentioned '99 because that's right when I came in was December of '99, and the very first big package for Jet Midwest, the parts company, really was the TWA material from the American purchase. Because we were in Kansas City as where our warehouse was, it was very convenient for us to create a deal with American. Say we'll take all of the aircraft, all the engines and all of the parts from all the aircraft that you're no longer going to operate out of that TWA fleet. So the DC-9s, the L-1011s, Pratt-powered 7.6s, the 7.4 material. And TWA had a lot of back shops. They were very self-sufficient. So
Hmm.
even the back shop material, which was some of the best material that we've ever gotten, came through that deal. And it was 70 plus trucks. We just had trucks going around in circles for 6 months, loading them up on one end and bringing them back. And that was great until you look back and go, we had 7 people in our company and we had 70 trucks to process in a year. It was quite a journey. And that's
Sure.
really right. That's how you cut your teeth in this business, is just doing a whole lot, feet first in and just go. Um, so that was a really great leap for us, the really first mega leap that we took as a company. And then um, really in the post 9/11 world, with that TWA package, we had a lot of expendables. That was really our
Hmm.
key our core competency at the time. And in the post 9/11 world, a lot of the folks who had rotables that were really expensive, the per cost per unit was really high and unstable. So a lot of the marketplace said, "Hey, let's go get some stable. Let's buy some packages of expendables." This sort of came into our side of the marketplace, and as that started to get flooded with people with interest, we kind of said, well, let's do the opposite. Let's go to where they came from and maybe start seeing if we can't get some aircraft. So we started tearing down aircraft in the post 9/11 world, and that was, I don't know, 700 plus airplanes ago. So it's been an
Sure.
interesting 20 plus years of dismantle work. Um, we were very fortunate to be in a city like Kansas City, which doesn't have a huge aviation it's been a long time since it had a huge aviation presence, especially in the aftermarket. To have the facility, so Americans started exiting the TWA overhaul base in the 2005 through 2008. They started to peel away from Kansas City and really move their operations to Dallas, Tulsa, and basically move these operations and shrink it. So as the downturn in the economy in 08, 09 happened, they were like, all right, we're out of here. We just can't handle this billing. And we approached the aviation department and said, hey, we have an interest in maybe expanding our operation at this time. And so we just did an orderly takeover of the facility from American. As they left, we kind of rolled in behind them, had great support from our aviation department, and really they made a great strategic play, I think, in helping invest in Jet Midwest. They were very flexible with us the first handful of years, understanding we were in a growth pattern. So that was good. It was interesting, again, going to, we had 1.2 million square feet. We had, I think, 17 people in Kansas City at the time. And, today we're over 200. So we've fulfilled our promise of growth and aviation jobs and those things. And if you come up to the overhaul base or anybody lands in Kansas City at the airport, you're going to look over and they're going to see 50 airplanes parked out there. And I'm very proud to say that, almost all of those aircraft are here because of what Jet Midwest has done and what we've built towards. So,
well, I'm sure if I asked ChatGPT how many parts traders and stockists are in former airline overhaul bases, there can't be many. So,
yeah,
it's pretty unique.
It is. And you know what I love? Aviation, once you're in this business, you just get this passion for it. And, Howard Hughes built this facility in the 50s, and we're still using the exact brick and mortar exactly as it was designed in the 50s and put into place. And he was very forward thinking in how he designed the place. The buildings were built 20 years before the airport was finished. So there's a lot of visionary, and I love that historical piece of it. And I think it rubs off on a lot of people. Like you said, you were here for 6 months, and that was a start of your career. There's a great story I was told by actually a competitor who does work with Ethiopian, and I didn't realize this until I had talked to him. I'm sitting in my office, and he said, "Oh, I used to be office out of that building," and so he tells me the story that TWA helped found Ethiopian Airlines. And what they did was they put an agreement together to say, we'll build Ethiopian Airlines exactly designed after TWA. And then once it's built, the Ethiopians could purchase that back. And so that was a very interesting concept, right? So the engineering, the training, the mechanics, even the fleet types were similar, and the engine types and the engine shops. And so this, all of these folks from Ethiopia were coming to Kansas City to train and to go through all the things as if they were TWA employees. And then they turn around and go back to Ethiopia and set up the same processes there. So it was a pretty neat journey, and it's awesome to listen to that story. Going, man, that's really cool. It explains why we have an Ethiopian community here that's almost, you think about being in the middle of the U.S., that would be an interesting community to get set up. And that's a big reason why it's here, is because of that time setting up Ethiopian Airlines through the junction with partnership with TWA.
Yeah, I'd never heard that. That's interesting. So you do teardowns out there. And then what kind of aircraft are you focused on today? Like, what would you say your mix is?
Well, certainly our biggest focus these days is the 777 fleet. And but I would say through our career, we've really tried to focus on aircraft that have a second life in the freighter market. Obviously, 75, 76, 777, 747. That's really been the majority of the work that we've been involved in. And a lot of that was based on, we know these are going to have an extra 20 years. There's a huge investment going into a 767 fleet. They're going to keep those airplanes as long as they possibly can. And hopefully we can watch those airplanes continue to grow, and the next wave of airplanes that come through, whether they're the 737s or the A320 cargo conversions that are happening. and then those aircraft will hopefully stick around for an extended period of time. But I would say at the same time, we are opportunistic, and we always kind of have been. We had the opportunity to purchase some A380s a couple of years ago, and it was certainly a reasonably high risk. We don't look at it that way, but I think the marketplace was, geez, what knucklehead is buying A380s when they're all sitting on the ground during COVID? But we had to put a bet out there that said that those aircraft are going to come back and have something to sell and be able to monetize. And I think that we created a deal that was good for us, and we've been able to hold on to those and put that together. But we've done A320s and A330s,
Yep.
310s. So we do dabble on the other side of the pond's product lines. That's probably 30% of our marketplace, and the other 70% probably lives in that Boeing world.
Wow. And then, so outside of parts trading and teardown, what other business lines are there at Jet Midwest? Do you do leasing? Do you do
We
asset
do.
management, that kind of thing as well?
Well, I think that's a good point, because I think as a parts company, as a foundational part of what we do, it used to be that we were just a parts company. And
Right.
then when we moved to the overhaul base, we opened an MRO. Actually started with a paint shop. It was a fairly easy certificate. I think our manual was about that thick. We could paint airplanes and change light bulbs. And so we did that for a little while because there was a bubble in the market. And that certificate grew. We did some heavy maintenance there. And today, Jet Midwest Technic is our component shop. And they're in the top floor of the warehousing building that we have, and they're doing flight surfaces, nacelles, and really doing a huge job to help support the balance of what Jet Midwest does, which is really asset management. We've recently expanded and are doing some engine work. So we've got our engine rating up. So we expanded that into an engine shop. And then last year we procured an on-site MRO. So now we have a heavy maintenance side. So if you think about asset management, Jet Midwest is able to bring in an aircraft and use its heavy maintenance MRO to handle the storage, engine changes, landing gear changes, maybe even C checks if that's what the customer demands. Then the asset management team says, well, now I can sell it, I can lease it, and I can move engines and do a lot of different things to make this an easier asset to monetize. So again, I think we've probably transitioned from a parts company, and that really was who we were for the longest time, to really now we're just so good at all the little pieces of this that we really have become an asset management focused company. And I tell people that, we work with some consignment partners. I'm like, our company is just a big machine, and we're going to shovel aviation assets into it. It doesn't matter what they are. It could be tooling, it could be engines, aircraft parts.
Yep.
You're going to shovel that fuel into our system, and that machine will turn on the other side. We'll have revenue coming out. And I'm pretty proud of where we've gotten to over 25 plus years of my career with the company by being able to create it that way. And it's not seamless. Nothing is seamless. It's always got some of those gears don't fit perfectly, so it gets a little clunky at times. But we certainly seem to be producing consistent product time and time again for our consignment partners.
Fantastic. So I guess, you had mentioned at the beginning, back in the day in the 90s, you would just, throw stuff on a marketplace and get orders. So
Yeah.
how have things changed in the last 20 years, would you say, 25 years?
Well, I would certainly say that there's a lot of challenges with where you list your material,
Yeah.
because certainly the industry standard really drives when you think about somebody like the ILS, it drives people to it is a marketplace where people are not necessarily handling transactional communication. We're out there, we broker parts all the time. Every day we're brokering. But, a lot of times we're out there saying, geez, Louise, the market conditions are changing. I need to figure out where I stand in the marketplace. And so people are pricing each other. And all of a sudden that became the pricing tool. And there's some other folks that came out with some different formats of a similar products, and they really didn't meet the needs. Now, the one place with the ILS that it's such a vast marketplace that it's a good starting point to kind of see what's out there. But a lot of times your more niche markets are in some of these other platforms. Um, we used to run, I remember our sales team a decade ago, and everybody's like, well, you got to run ILS broadcasts and do this. And if you don't do those things, you're not going to be able to get, and we just found that that really wasn't how we were selling our parts. And that was less effective than we wanted it to be. And I guess from a parts company to another parts company, maybe that's the place where that works well. And we were transitioning away from that to really be operator and end user specific. So again, that was part of our metamorphosis, that we needed other resources.
Sure, sure. So, I don't think it's any secret. I mean, I certainly worked there for a while, and we're not, we'll get into this on our next podcast, but we're super different in the sense of the way we go to market and channel partner and everything at Oyster. So we definitely believe that they absolutely have a really solid foot place in the industry. Um, so I guess what do you see as in the future, next couple of years for Jet Midwest? What are you guys focused on as far as you had mentioned? I mean, component shop build out, paint, asset management. Are you continuing the same model and still going out there on wide body? Do you see any kind of deviations? Not deviation's a bad word. Additions to the core.
Well, I would certainly say, the marketplace does dictate a little bit about what assets are available at the right price, right?
Yeah.
We can always overpay for, a 2012 A321, right?
Yep.
That would be an expensive airplane, and is that investment wise there? So I think for us, a little bit of it will be, hey, where's the marketplace moving? And we're going to want to observe that and see that. A lot of the reason that the 777 marketplace that came together was a combination between COVID conditions. And if you look at the fleets when they came back after COVID, the wide bodies were last. And the narrow bodies came back, and once they did, that created a lot of momentum, and all that domestic travel was what had to start up first, and that was a natural thing. And so it was, so again, it maybe gave the 777 marketplace was maybe more hesitant to put those back into service because they just didn't know, and that's an expensive bird. So that's, again, kind of where we landed. I think we're going to continue to drive aircraft into our system and continue to shovel that fuel into this big machine. And I also think we probably are ready for some more technology. Certainly everybody's, the buzzword of AI, when we think about what it could do and how can we put that into place while not losing our edge that we currently have over some of our competitors, right? So you could replace your customer service with some AI, but are you going to lose your edge over your competitor who's making the phone call versus having a machine make it, or where does that fit? And I think right now we're working hard to take something like AI and say, how do we put this in place and use this over the coming years to really give us an edge? Um, you know, We've expanded from roughly 140 people 18 months ago to 200. So our growth is really high, and it'd be great to deploy all those people and give them some tools like AI so they can increase their productivity. And that'll be an important focus for us here in the coming months, and as we swing into next year. So I really think it's going to take a while for that to really get our hands around what it is and how we're going to implement it. But I do think 26 is going to be a big year for us with technology.
That's interesting. A lot of people are talking about just what you said, and your relationship with your operator shouldn't be, hand keying quotes, automation of tasks is certainly where the opportunity is. So, well, good, Patrick. It has been really good having you here. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks out at MRO. I'm sure that
Absolutely.
your booth will be buzzing, especially as you do the in-person Nose to Tail podcast and then all the other things that you have going on. So we're looking forward to seeing you. And, we also are ready to help you here at Oyster with packages and anything else that we can, do to help drive efficiencies in the market. So,
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to having further discussion. I know our teams have been working together for the last couple of months, and there's certainly next steps for everybody, and I'm excited for that because it creates opportunities to service our customers in one way and to service our consigners in another way, and just makes our machine that much better when we can partner with somebody that really understands how to get those assets moved.
Good deal. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Patrick.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
All right.